Hi, welcome to This Week in Ames. I'm Susan Gwiasda. On today's show, we check in with Ames Electric Services. My guest today is Steve Wilson, Energy Coordinator with Ames Electric Services. Steve, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Well, a lot of people know you by your other name, the Energy Guy,
Yes.
and you are the one to talk to when we're talking conservation. We are coming up on the electric season, the hotter months. Summer is just ahead of us. Let's talk a little bit about conservation.
Yeah, now's a good time to be thinking about it. Our furnaces aren't running too much. The air conditioners haven't come on yet. And so now's a pretty good time to evaluate your situation and make any changes necessary. Good way to start that process is to have an energy audit done. Through the Smart Energy programs for electric customers of the City of Ames, there's a free energy audit that can be had. They call, make arrangements, the auditor comes out, looks over their home, gives them a pretty good idea of their current level of efficiency, makes recommendations on what they can do to improve that, and then helps them through the process of applying for rebates if they need that as well. So an audit's a good place to start. Beyond that, there are some things that we should be looking at in our homes, just as a process of how we live our lives. We want to make sure that we understand where we're going to set our thermostats for the summer months. And of course, the higher you can set them, then the lower your bill is going to be. We want to make sure that we have clean filters in our furnace, because even though we're not running our furnace, the air conditioner is going to blow air through that same filter. And a dirty filter is going to cause some difficulty with the operation of your air conditioner. So, you know, we want to make sure that we have my phone number handy, 239-5177, because questions come up, and sometimes they come up at the worst possible moment. But 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, if you have a question, you can give me a call. I'd be happy to help.
Well, I have a question for you. Okay. So how many people do you know that come home after a hot day at work and just blast that air conditioner? Somehow, when you just crank that number, that dial down to 68 or whatever it is that you feel like you need to make it cool enough, how does that work with your energy efficiency?
Well, I tell you, that it's interesting, because that's exactly what happens, because we can see it. It's reflected in if you graphed our demand in the city on a daily basis during the summer, we hit our peak typically between the hour of 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. So people are going home and they're cranking down the thermostat. Now, air conditioners heat at a constant rate, essentially. And so turning the thermostat down to 68, if you want it to be 72 in your home, it isn't going to cool any faster. And there's the potential to waste energy, because if you shoot by 70 and keep going on down to 68, you've wasted a lot of energy that you didn't intend to waste. So set your thermostat where you want it and then leave it alone, because if you start playing with it, that can cause some inefficiencies with your air conditioner. It can also cause you to waste more energy. But yeah, it's interesting that the psychology is, I need to be cool, so I'm going to crank that thermostat down.
That the idea would be you would get cooler faster.
Yeah,
which you're debunking that myth right now.
Doesn't happen, sorry.
So what are some other things that people can do to keep their homes cooler in the summer?
One of the big things that we see that has a huge potential for impact is to set your thermostat a little higher and use fans. Now, a central air conditioning system can use anywhere between, depending on its size, it can cost you $2 to $4 a day to run that central air conditioner. A fan might cost you 10 cents a day to run. Significantly lower electricity use in a fan. Well, studies have shown that you can tolerate temperatures upwards maybe 80 to 82 degrees with fan energy blowing on you. So if you normally keep your thermostat maybe at 78, you can turn it up maybe 3, 4, 5 degrees and use a fan to stay comfortable. The wind chill effect of the fan blowing on your skin keeps you cool and comfortable. Typically in the summertime, when the air conditioners are running, the houses are dry, because air conditioners, in addition to cooling the air temperature down, they pull moisture out of the air. So you're cool and you're dry, turn the thermostat up, use the fan. Now, what's the impact? Well, if we calculate that out, on average, you can save about 50 cents a day by doing that. Doesn't sound like much, but that's $15 a month, so it's going to add up over the summer. So that's a trick that you can use to stay comfortable and cool.
Well, and the thing I think people need to remember is that you click a lot of those ceiling fans on. They're only good when you're in the room. You don't want to keep them running when you leave.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Fans don't do anything to the air temperature. They move air, and the movement of the air is what keeps you cool and comfortable. If you leave the room, you're not cooling down your chair or your TV set. You can turn that off, save even more energy. Sometimes we're fooled because mentally we think, well, the fan's using very little energy, so I'll just let it run all the time. Yeah, if you do that, it's going to add up and your savings are going to diminish. And so for you to be able to save significant energy and dollars, you need to be fairly strict about that. And so you need to watch your habits fairly closely, but that's a good point. Turn that off when you leave the room.
Another one, an easy one that most people can do, shades, draw the shades.
Mm-hmm. If it's sunny outside, we do the reverse of what we do in the wintertime. If the sun's shining in the wintertime, you might want to open the drapes to get that solar radiation, that heat into your room. It helps you on your heat bill. The reverse of that is true in the summertime. When the sun is bright and it's beating down on your home, close those drapes, block that sun. Now, a lot of people don't like to do that because they feel shut in and like they're in a cave, but you sort of have a choice to make at that point. Do you want to see outside, or do you want your bill to be a little bit lower? And the reality is, in the morning early, you can have your drapes open. In the evening, when it cools down a little bit, maybe there's still some daylight, you can open them again. But during that hottest part of the day, it really pays to close the drapes. You want to do things to reduce the amount of electricity that you're going to be using. It can be anything from making sure that the pan size fits the burner on your stove, if you have an electric stove, so you're not wasting any electricity.
Well, and also maybe not running your oven.
Don't run your oven. Eat cold foods in the summertime.
Or a microwave.
Microwave uses less electricity over the long haul to cook foods. Yeah, they do it very quickly.
So what about the person who opens the refrigerator to cool off?
This is funny. I go to schools and I make presentations to schools, and I stand in front of the class and I say, and don't stand with the refrigerator door open. And everybody laughs and giggles because they think that's funny, because they all do that. And most adults are guilty of that as well. In fact, the adults are typically worse even than their children, although they wouldn't admit to that. But you kind of need to know what you want. Refrigerators are sort of funny. They can account for 6 to 7% of our energy bill all by themselves. If the furnace is set, if the freezer is set too cold, you're wasting energy. If the box itself is set too cold, you're wasting energy. Now, I can help folks. We've got some tools available at the electric utility to help them determine what their temperatures are in the freezer and in the box. If they're set properly, you're tuned in, you're dialed in, you're gonna be efficient that way. But other things, make sure there's a seal is sealing appropriately around the door. Make sure that you know what you want so that you're not standing with the refrigerator door open, that kind of thing. You have to think of it in terms of a box, an insulated box that's holding cold air, that when you open it, the cold air drops out and it's replaced by warm air. Warm air, warmth, heat moves from the warm side of any area to the cold side. So cold air drops out, heat rushes in, you close the door. Now the compressor has to come on to cool it back down to your settings. So you open it up a bunch of times, you're wasting energy. So you really have to pay attention on your refrigerator, because it is a big energy user.
Well, speaking of appliances in general, things like waiting till off-peak times to run your dishwasher, to do your laundry, those do help.
They do, and it's not even necessarily, it won't necessarily impact your bill, because you're still using that electricity. But what it does is it benefits the community of Ames as a whole. It allows the utility to pay less for their energy. And over time, that contributes to a lower rate. So you want to avoid that hottest part of the summer day. You can whatever you're doing, whether it's clothes or dishwashing or whatever it is, you do it in the early morning or after 8 o'clock at night. Typically, you're avoiding that peak time. Now, what does that do? It really causes our peak to go up late night or early morning, and we don't care about that because we have plenty of capacity and demands are typically pretty low. But what happens if you decide to do your laundry at 3 o'clock in the afternoon? That's when everybody's air conditioner is running, all the refrigeration in the commercial businesses is going on, all the lights are on in the commercial sector. Now you've decided to do your laundry or wash your dishes just adds more electricity. If everybody did that, then we would have to go out and source more electricity to bring into town to cover the demand. When we do that, it's expensive, and over time it drives the rate up. So avoid the middle part of the summer day. It's a good thing.
Absolutely. And also here's maybe a time to experiment with the clothesline and to not run your dryer, which puts heat in your house as well. Lots of, kind of going back to the basics. You can make some changes that can have some impact.
Yeah, I realize I'm turning into my father. My dad followed me around the house, turning off the lights. He said, turn off the lights, turn off the lights. Why, Dad? Well, because our electric bill is going to be high. And those were in the days when electricity was almost free.
So was he the energy guy senior?
He was the energy guy. That's where I get all of my creative energy genetics, I guess.
So one of the things Ames Electric Services does to encourage people to be more efficient is we have a lighting rebate to get those incandescent light bulbs out of your homes and replace them with more efficient LEDs.
LEDs are huge right now. The industry really has sort of piled onto the LED bandwagon, and they're helping out a lot. We were using compact fluorescents just a few years ago, and compact fluorescents were okay.
Those are the curlicue ones.
The curlicue ones, and they have mercury in them, and they were sometimes took a long time for the light to come up to full brightness. They didn't last very long. Well, the industry didn't really do much about, the industry meaning the lighting manufacturers and research and development folks in the lighting industry, they didn't do much with the compact fluorescents because they knew right over the horizon were LEDs. LEDs are a much better light source. It's not, there's nothing in them that can be damaged. They do much better in warm and cold temperatures. They use significantly less electricity even than compact fluorescents. And so where 2 years ago we were paying rebates through Smart Energy on compact fluorescents, about 95% of all of the rebates, lighting rebates, were compact fluorescents. That's totally changed now. About 95% of the rebates now are LED. The rebate through the City of Ames for electric customers is 30% of the cost of the LED. So there's some significant help in being able to go out and buy what is a little bit more expensive bulb.
But definitely coming down in price.
Yeah, a lot better. A couple of years ago, you could pay $120 for an LED light. You're down to maybe $9, $10 now. Sometimes you'll see one $15, $20, but for the most part, around $10, we're going to give you $3 of that back.
Yeah, and for such a huge difference in energy use, it's
they last.
Quite a deal.
Yeah, well, and the significant factor on an LED is that they last anywhere from 50 to 100,000 hours. With typical lighting use in a residence, that's going to be 20 to 25 years. So you're going to replace a bulb, and you're not going to think about it again probably for as long as you live in the home. That's a huge advantage.
Absolutely, something to get rid of those incandescents. That should be the incentive enough.
Yeah.
One final thought, tell us a little bit about Eco Fair. It's coming up on Saturday, April 4th.
Saturday, April 4th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We've got a lot of expertise that we're going to be putting in the gym and on the stage this year. We've expanded to the point where we need some extra room, and so we've allowed for that. But what we've been able to do is gather in one area the folks that know the most about what can contribute to an ongoing sustainability effort in Ames. Whether that's policy, whether that's in the way of economics, whether that's in the way of water conservation or energy conservation or land use. There are many, many sides, I guess, to sustainability. But we don't know a great deal about sustainability, so we have questions. Well, where do we go have our questions answered? We can go to the Eco Fair. There are people there that work in these fields, that understand these technologies, that have these products for sale. And so they're able to, you're sort of able to do the one-stop shopping thing, where if you want to know about windows, you can see windows. You want to know about air conditioners, you can do that. If you want to know about bicycles, and how that might benefit you and your getting to work every morning, you can do that. If you want to know what policies are going on in terms of sustainability and conservation in Story County and in Ames in particular, there's that information. So.
And we'll also have representation from various City of Ames departments, including the Ames Public Library with the Bookmobile, the Ames Fire Department, and Ames Police. As you mentioned, will be there with bike safety information.
That's right.
So we really are tackling all different forms and expressions of sustainability.
Yeah. If you've not been to an eco fair, you ought to try it out at least once. It's a hoot. It's a good time. There's kind of a carnival atmosphere to it. A lot of people in there. Typically, they might even be eating some popcorn just as they go around. But it's just a lot of fun, and it's a really nice environment to gather that information. To maybe sign up for a door prize, to have some refreshments, a good place for the kids. We've got a kids corner, so the kids are well taken care of over there. They've got all kinds of educational things for them to do, and it's a good time. It can be a family outing.
Great. Well, Steve, thank you so much for stopping by. I always learn a lot when you come.
Thanks for having me.
So again, if you want more information about the City of Ames Eco Fair, that information is on our website. It's at cityofames.org. But remember, mark your calendar for 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Saturday, April 4th at the Community Center Gymnasium. Also, another thing for your calendar, if you're someone who likes to attend or watch the Ames City Council meetings, please note there has been a time change. The Ames City Council meeting, starting with the Tuesday, May 19th meeting, will begin at 6 p.m. We had a 7 p.m. start for many years, but have moved that now to 6 p.m. So you can catch your Ames City Council here on Channel 12, 6 p.m. beginning May 19th. Well, that's our show for today. Thanks for watching, and tune in next week for This Week in Ames.